Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Words with Friends by Ashleynicole, narrated by Elyce Anthony and Sean Crisden. Jersey. God, I'm so glad to be off that plane, I grumbled as I hiked my purse up onto my shoulder, apologizing when it hit the unattractive young boy behind me in the aisle. After a relaxing week-long vacation in New Zealand with my family, and 2 days of travel to make it home, I was dog-tired. My parents flew back into JFK, and my brother was headed back to somewhere in the Middle East. The flights themselves hadn't been terrible, but I'd been seated next to screaming babies, a flatulent old pervert, and a leather-faced, racist bitch who thought she could move me. Newsflash, she couldn't. All I felt like doing was falling asleep in my jacuzzi tub with a frosted glass of somebody's cognac. I needed something hard after both the trip and the flight. And since I wasn't in the mood to see anybody's man, a stiff drink would have to do. I hurriedly strutted from the terminal, praying it wouldn't take forever and a day for my bag to reach baggage claim. I passed couples and families and solo travelers who didn't seem to be as ready to get out of there as I was. The sun was rudely shining through the windows, blaring off the shiny white floors. Outside of the windows, planes were taxiing in and out, taking people away and bringing them back. Again, I thanked God that my travel was done. I would still have to walk across the street and all the way across the parking deck to reach my car, and I just wanted to be done with this. I followed the throng of other passengers down the escalator and over to the conveyor belt with our flight number posted above it, praying to hear the obnoxious squawk that signaled the release of our bags. It was maybe 2 or 3 minutes before we actually heard the sound, and the conveyor belt came to life, circling the area like a serpent. My praying didn't work because my bag wasn't the first to come out as I'd hoped. I mean, I was the last person on the flight and the last person to check a bag at the gate, so why the hell wouldn't my bag be first? I cursed under my breath when I realized that there was another flight's luggage with ours, and those were the bags that were circling the conveyor at the moment. I knew I was being a brat, but I wanted to just wail my frustration. I was ready to go. It wasn't like I had much of a choice, so I just took a few deep breaths to help me relax and waited. More luggage was added and removed from the belt, but mine remained elusive as the minutes ticked by. I felt this weird niggle of awareness that made me glance around to see its origin. When I did, I had to quickly look away after finding it. On my left, maybe 5 feet behind me, was this beautiful piece of man. His eyes had been on me when I turned around, and when we locked gazes, a hint of a smirk drew up one side of his mouth. Lord, I whispered, hoping the little shiver that had run up my spine wasn't visible. I grunted under my breath and focused back on the circling luggage, still not seeing mine. It was big, with a bright pink and turquoise pattern, so I knew it hadn't come out yet. The pattern was a shock to the senses on purpose. I didn't want anybody putting their grubby hands on my bag, confusing it with theirs. I'd seen damn near 15 black roller bags go by, and just as many people picking bags up, then putting them down when they realized it wasn't theirs. Wouldn't happen with my shit. I was standing back there, right? A deep voice murmured to my left as a big body stepped into my peripheral. And I said to myself, what is the dumbest, most obvious question I could ask Shorty to get her to look at me like I'm an idiot? It was him. Big, cute him. And what did you come up with? I asked softly, trying not to smile. My initial assessment was correct. He was big, tall. I had to crane my neck to see his face. And sheesh, that face was perfection, with big, clear, hazelish eyes and a nice smile. "Your luggage come yet?" I busted out laughing, having to cover my mouth before looking back over to him. "No? Has yours?" The look he gave me had me doubling over laughing, having to hold my stomach. Would I be standing here if it had? "I don't know you." I sized him up with a head-to-toe scan, liking his size very much. "You could just be one of those people who like to watch luggage travel around conveyor belts. You look the type." "Do I?" he gasped, sounding scandalized. I thought my concealer hid it. "Oh, my God, shut up," I sputtered, giving him a sidelong glance. I wasn't one to interact with random strangers. Shit like this just never happened to me. My frosty veneer usually kept folks the appreciated 10 feet distance. Not him, though. A shock of color caught my eye as it left the little conveyor tunnel, and I breathed a sigh of relief. He must have been paying attention because his head turned in the direction of the belt, and he pointed. "That monstrosity is yours?" "Excuse you?" I huffed with indignance, a hand at my hip. "Is that monstrosity yours?" he repeated with a straight face. "Yes, it is." I was laughing again. "You want help getting it off the belt? I promise I'm not trying to steal your shit." "I would really appreciate it. Thanks." His hands didn't look grubby. I could deal with it. "What the fuck is in here?" he huffed as he hauled it off the belt and placed it at my feet, gaze incredulous. "Dead body," I supplied without blinking. "Yeah, well, whomever is in that shit needs to lose a few pounds." This time I couldn't help the shout of laughter that bubbled up. "Whatever." "Here's mine," he murmured, as he pulled a large orange rolling duffel from the belt. "Is this monstrosity yours?" I mimicked. "Do you know what a monstrosity is?" "I sure do. Your bag." "You know, my horoscope did say something about meeting a hater at baggage claim." His palms came up to indicate me. "And voila." "What?" I covered my mouth, trying not to laugh again. He just shook his head and eyed me. "This bag has been passed down through my family for 6 generations. Your great-great-grandmother pulled this along the Underground Railroad behind Harriet, did she?" "Great, great, great," he corrected with indignance. "She stuffed a couple of Harriet's turbans in here, too. It's a national treasure." I'm sure her biceps were a sight to behold, having to lug this big, ugly thing through the woods. I let my eyes rake over the bag as if it were an adversary. "Don't be disrespecting my family's history." "I apologize," I giggled. We made it outside to the arrivals area. It was just as bright as I figured it would be. I blinked a few times, trying to allow my eyes to adjust. My sunglasses were probably at the bottom of my bag. "It's cool," he told me with an easy grin before sucking his bottom lip in, the bag securely in his hand. "Well, it was nice to meet you and your eyesore bag." I bit my lips and nodded in agreement. Seemed like he was brushing me off. "You too." He winked and offered me one more grin before strolling off with his big dick energy. "Probably has a girlfriend," I surmised, as I walked in the opposite direction towards the covered parking area. Of course, that would be my luck. I left Bradley and drove straight home, making sure to shoot my parents a text, letting them know I'd made it safely. Their flight should have arrived a few hours before mine. I walked into my house, taking in a deep breath of familiar air. There's just something so comforting about smelling your own space after having been away for so long. The vacation was beautiful, and so was the house my family rented, but I like my own space. I'd done a deep clean from top to bottom before I left, just so I could come home and have nothing to do except wash clothes. I went straight to the laundry room to get a load started. If I didn't, there was a good chance the clothes would stay in the suitcase until my next trip. After that, I was in my tub with my wine and some candles. I knew I needed to check my work email and see what my schedule was like. I was the only speech therapist at the home health care agency where I worked. Typically, when I went on vacation, there was no one to cover my patients, which meant I'd be overloaded my first day back. That shit can wait until Monday, I declared, sinking down deeper into the hot water. I'm still on vacation. I had to force myself out of bed the next morning. I knew it was going to be a fight to get my body back on Eastern Standard Time after 2 weeks, so I woke at my usual time and dragged my behind outside for some exercise. Afterward, I went home and could do nothing but get right back in the bed. I managed to drag myself out of the house the following day to get my nails done. We'd done a lot of hiking during my trip, and my toes had taken a beating. I'd even managed to break 2 nails. So, you met the guy of your dreams and you didn't try to talk to him? My friend B owned the nail salon and always managed to fit me in without an appointment. Our parting was kind of abrupt, I told her as I flipped through a magazine with the hand she wasn't working on. We walked out of the airport and he was gone. I thought maybe he had a girlfriend or something. I shrugged. Well, that sucks. Her face bunched sympathetically. Yeah, I sighed and shrugged. It is what it is, though. Was a nice diversion while I waited for my luggage. I freaking bet. I don't know what the hell those baggage handlers be doing, but it takes too long to get luggage at Bradley. She griped as she adjusted her grip on my left pinky to begin filing it down. Does it really take too long, or are we just impatient? She paused and pondered the answer before going back to my nail. A little bit of both. Everybody's impatient after a flight regardless. Right. So they're really damned if they do or don't speed up. That's why I stay my ass home. I chuckled. Shut up. I glanced around the shop, which wasn't super busy yet. Give it another hour or so, and it'd be standing room only. There were 5 other nail techs and a waxer on staff. Everybody had a client, but the waiting area only had 1 person in it. B liked bright colors, so everything in the shop was pink and yellow. She was such a girly girl. There was an entire wall dedicated to just polish. That meme about picking nail polish behind harder than trying to figure out what to eat was right. I generally just let B pick 5 or 6 colors, and I narrowed it from there. Slow in here so far, I commented. Yeah, that's because that rapper, Lil Benzo, was at the XL Center last night. Oh, so y'all were jumping yesterday? My attention went back to the magazine. Girl, she breathed. They were lined up at the door from the second I opened. We were in here until almost 9 last night. They close at 7. Guess you'll get a little break today. She gave a non-committal grunt. Lil Benzo is that little ugly one, right? Yeah, ugly is right. Plus, all he raps about is eating and playing in girls' behinds. Nasty ass. Oh, yeah. His name should be Lil Disgusting. Lil Rimmer, she returned. Little Yucky. Lil Brown Noser. We giggled. Lil Brown Tongue, I corrected. Lil Colonoscopy. Even better. Lil Colonic. I fell back in my chair, laughing as she dropped her head. I think that's the winner, she pointed at me with the nail file. I like the ring of it. Sad part is, these dumbass kids today probably wouldn't even know what it was. Right, walking around wanting a colonic bad. Hell, with all the junk they eat, they probably need one, I sputtered. Word, she agreed as she swapped the file for the drill to shave down the nails. You back to work Monday, right? Yeah, I huffed. I really need to invent something and become independently wealthy. Let me open up 3 or 4 more of these shops, and I'm out, she announced. I hear you. I keep telling those idiots they need to hire another ST. They think they're going to work me to death forever. Hell no. You still getting offers? Left and right, I said as I watched the white dust swirl up from my nails as she worked. Truth is, I can write a ticket wherever I want to go. I do like the freedom of home care, but I can't stand the politics of it. I know it'll be the same wherever I go, though. So I just have to decide which end of the pain in the ass spectrum I feel like dealing with. Yeah, I don't know how you do it, though. I can't stand old people. I laughed. I mean, not all of my patients are older. 90%. Your agency doesn't do children, though, right? Nah, have to be over 18. It's funny because some of my most problematic patients are younger. It's like older people have somewhat accepted their issues. Younger ones don't. Makes sense. You? Dang, B. How long before you done? I glanced up and went right back to my nails. It was B's semi-friend Tansa. Tansa was a piece of work. A rude piece of work. You miss me being in the middle of a conversation, B clipped out as she moved on to buffing my nails. I'm just asking when you'll be done. I need a quick refill. You're gonna have to wait, she informed her. I have an appointment after this. You really can't just... No, she stared back at her. I can't just anything. I keep telling you to make an appointment. I have a business to run. You already complain about having to pay full price. Sucked teeth rounded me to take the vacant seat to my left. Fine, I'll wait. Come back in like 2 hours, B advised. I'll take you then. Go drive around and listen to your podcast husband or whoever. We laughed. Tansa was obsessed with some local dude who had a podcast. He was all she ever freaking talked about. She was always scheming on how to randomly run into him somewhere, but to my knowledge, it hadn't happened yet. Tansa sucked her teeth again. I'm all caught up on them. He was out of town or something, so there wasn't one for last week. Still haven't figured out how to accidentally run into him, huh? B murmured with amusement. No, damn it. And it's pissing me off because I keep seeing people post pictures with him. Somebody ran into him at the same Stop and Shop I go to the other day. I was even there that morning. Then it's not meant to be, B said, rolling her eyes my way and shaking her head. I refuse to believe that shit. You're deluded. Dude probably has a whole girlfriend. She could go too. Whew, Jesus, B breathed as she turned her attention back to me. Go wash your hands, boo. You decide on the color? I nodded as I pushed back from the station to walk to the sink. I'm gonna go with the nude I was getting before. She had me painted and ready to go soon after that. Zumba in the morning? She asked as I gathered my purse and magazine to leave. Yeah, I guess so, I mumbled. Start my last day of freedom, right? All right, boo, she laughed. I'll see you at 7. She knew I hated Zumba. I was fine with exercising, got up every morning to run 5 miles without a problem. But organized classes aggravated my soul. I'd be there, though. See ya. I left her with her next appointment, and Tansa still talking her ear off. My first day back at work was a shit show. Of the 6 patients I tried to schedule for the day, 2 pushed me off to later in the week, and 2 didn't open the damn door. Then my office called and asked if I could do 2 start-of cares in the place of my missed revisits. I hate start-of cares because the paperwork sucks, but the money's good, so I accept it. I especially hated when they had to be at the tail end of my day, but again, whatever. The bullshit came when I walked out of the second start to find the spot where I parked my car empty. Then I looked around and noticed the street sweeping signs that I hadn't noticed when I parked. What the hell? I grumbled as I pulled my phone from my work bag, dropping the bag on the ground. There was a number at the bottom of the street sweeping posting with the name of the towing company the city used. Just my damn luck. I Googled the place and was relieved to see that it was just about a mile up the road. I fought with myself over getting a car to come pick me up, then decided to just make the walk. I was in comfortable flats and had overindulged on my vacation, so the walk would do me good. 20 minutes later, I was walking into the blessedly cool building. There was already a man there, screaming at the girl behind the desk, looking to be a few seconds away from a stroke. His red face was slicked with sweat, and spit was flying from his mouth with every other word. As I said, sir, we can't release your card to you until we get a release from the tax office. We won't get a release from the tax office until you pay them. The girl behind the desk with the floor-length weave told him nastily, You need to go and pay the delinquent taxes and get your registration in order. Only then will you get your car back. She dismissed him and looked to me. What you need? Well, that's professional. My car was towed from Congress Avenue, a Maxima. She started shuffling her papers, totally ignoring the irate man in front of her. He snapped, Bitch, if you don't... Oh, don't think there's anybody in here by that name, sir. I stood in shock as my airport boyfriend walked from a door in the corner to stand in front of the guy who he had by a half a foot. As you were told, there are things that are not in order with your car that need to be straightened out. In plain English, you're not getting anything back until you pay your damn bills. Now please leave, he told him calmly. The man looked like he didn't know how to respond, but it was clear to even me that he wasn't getting his car until he did what was asked of him. I didn't think it was possible, but the man turned an even deeper shade of red before turning and stalking out of the door, allowing some of the stuffy heat in. Once he was gone, my airport boyfriend turned his curious gaze to me and said, Hater with the big ugly bag. I could say the same to you, I returned. Horoscope did say something about a delusional woman crossing my path this week. I didn't have a comeback for that one, so I just laughed. What's up? He asked. That red Maxima is hers, old girl behind the desk informed him. Really? He asked with big eyes. A hater who can't read parking signs. What are the odds? I can read, goddammit. I was rushing and missed the postings. Uh-huh, he murmured indulgently, his bottom lip tucked beneath the top one. He was very neat and sexy in a pair of khaki shorts and a navy pullover. I was expecting a name patch somewhere, but there wasn't one. Whatever. How much do I need to pay to get my car? My taxes were paid and my registration was good. In my line of work, not having a car was the quickest way to the unemployment line. Never taking his eyes off me, he extended his hand to Rapunzel behind the desk. Give me the paperwork, Dee. There was no snappy remark when she handed it to him. Follow me, he ordered, turning to lead me out of the front door, making sure to hold it open until I was out. I let him lead me through the open gate into the back of the corner lot, where my baby was sitting alone in the corner, looking like she missed me, and a lot dustier than she was when I parked her. It was a dirt lot, so it made sense. Also, I clearly was not the only idiot in town, seeing as their lot was damn near packed. Just watch the signs from now on, he suggested, motioning for me to get in the car. How much? I just told you how much. You're letting me go without a tow fee? I questioned in disbelief. You just had to listen to my advice. That was your payment. He gave a chin nod towards my car. Now be gone before I change my mind. I went to get in the car but stopped. I was confused when I left the airport, but there was no way I was about to let this happen again. Can I ask you something? For free? His forehead stretched up towards his impeccable hairline, and his right ear practically hit his shoulder in a head tilt. His eyes were squinting from the bright sunlight. You tell me how much I owe you after the question. I don't like it, but I guess. He tossed his hands up as if he were giving in to something. I chuckled before sobering. You have clearly been flirting. Have I? He asked dubiously, smirking at me. Yes, it's subjective. Anyway, I pressed on. You've been flirting, but you didn't ask me out. You got a girl or something? At this point, I just needed to know. It was the second time he was brushing me off. Nah, I just find myself trying something new. Going after ugly girls instead? But I didn't ask you out. Damn, I wailed, holding both hands to the center of my chest as if I'd been shot. Your aim is accurate, sir. We were both hollowing with laughter. Nah, he said once he was composed. I'm trying to let life decide for me. Meaning? 3 times a charm. So, I gotta run into you one more time before I can try to holler. Interesting. Okay. I just wanted to check. It's quite clear you're interested. You don't say, he murmured, lips twitching as he surveyed me with unabashed interest. Boy, you even thought of a dumb question to ask me just to get my attention. Maybe, he hummed non-committally. I gotta get back, though. Cars to tow? Hearts to break? I chuckled. Oh, definitely the hearts to break part. I busted out laughing once more. All right, well, I appreciate you letting me off without the fee. You're not going to get in trouble, are you? I pointed towards the building in question. He was sweet, and I didn't want him potentially losing his job over it. I can pay the tow. I'm good, he assured me as he walked backwards towards the door we'd just exited, grinning. You know, giving free tows to every pretty girl who comes through here is bad for business. His grin widened. I only give free tows to the ugly ones. Shut up, I sputtered. Have a good day. You too. I called just before sliding into the drive.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?